So let's start coming in. Have you done it?
Because of the
So I start from that lecture around 20 minutes.
yes,
Then you didn't get the
I've
practice
written it. I've written it. I've written it so that I will not make mistake.
So exactly.
I just sent to a few because I've seen people starting trying to join.
I mean,
Okay, it's just only one person. They are all waiting.
they are all waiting.
Yes, I just need
So
them to
give
wait. Yes.
People are waiting.
Uh,
But they are part of us now.
so okay, one of them has left.
So people can do now.
Yes.
Can enter now.
Yes.
So just send to a little, especially that risk factor.
Yes. Okay. Hello? Austin, can you hear me? Hello,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Good morning, friends, professional colleagues, relatives, and well-wishers from all over Nigeria, Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Maiduguri, Plateau, in fact, all over Nigeria. Welcome to First Choice Accurate Success Link's first ever webinar to be held this year. This year is a very special year. People have nicknamed this year the year of the new normal. This year, every day of the year seems to be like a public holiday. Every day seems to be like a weekend. We know that you are taking advantage of this unique opportunity to enjoy yourself. First Choice Accurate Success Link is an organization that provides educational services as one of its core functions. And one of such educational services that First Choice Accurate Success Link provides is conducting of lectures to prepare students who are writing the ICANN exams. And the results and feedbacks that we've gotten from students have all been awesome. Then also, FCA, as we like to call ourselves, engage in training services such as holding seminars and webinars just like this. Today, we are having the first webinar in the year 2020, and we'll be talking about risk management. Life itself is a risk, and our being alive today, we are taking risk. We have all handled one type of risk or the other, and technically that makes us risk managers. But our spotlight today is on business risk management. How do you effectively manage business risk in today's new normal filled with the pandemic of coronavirus? Well, we have a risk manager in the house today. He is our able speaker. He is the resource person for this program. As I said before, he is a risk manager. And so, where else will he hear about handling risk in business than from the risk manager himself? We'll be discussing the theme, as you have already known from the invitation, COVID-19, the increasing necessity for effective business risk management. Our speaker is Mr. Ayomi Laduku. So before I hand over to him, I would like everyone who is present here to write down the questions that you would like to ask our able speaker. You can put them in the chat forum so that the questions will be collated and be sent to the speaker for him to be able to handle them effectively. So I also want you to have a good time as you enjoy the program. So I want to hand over to our risk manager himself, our speaker, Mr. Ayomi Ladu. You have our attention.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. My name is Ayomi Laduko. I want to welcome you guys to the very first ever FCA webinar forum. Today, we'll be looking into effective business risk management. As we are all aware, because of the recent surge all over the world, the COVID pandemic is ravaging businesses and careers alike. All right, so, but at the same time, we must exist and try to navigate through the pandemic. So basically, this webinar has been organized to help businesses and even as individuals, we might be able to have 1 or 2 points on the way to go, okay? So that's what we'll be doing today. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now, all right? So we can go through that, okay? All right, so today, this is the very first ever FCA 2020 webinar, all right? So we'll be looking at this, all right? So you're all welcome once again. And as I said, my name is Miladoku, all right? So we'll be looking at this. Okay, before we start, let me quickly tell you about FCA. Okay, we are a professional service company. We provide a range of services, which includes professional lectures such as ICANN, FCA. We also provide services in the area of financial advisory, we do trainings, business strategy, policy formulation, corporate engineering, financial reporting, payroll management, internal control, and taxation services. Okay. All right. About me, basically, I have experience in risk management, audit, internal control, and finance. I have a background in banking and finance, right? And a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Okay. So today, like we said, we'll be looking at the increasing necessity for effective business risk management, all right? So why, before now, we are aware, we know what the word risk is all about. For example, you may not even know how to apply this to business, but I'm very sure you've said something like, oh, it's risky, I don't want to do that, okay? I don't want to go into that, right? So what does it really mean? But the spotlight today will basically be limited to business risk, although I might mention people risk as well, okay? How you can manage all those risks, okay? So let's continue. So, but before we start, I want us to look at this. So just pick up a pen and a small paper where you are, wherever you are, all over the country. There are some logos that are stated here. So just write down the name of those companies. Okay, I'll give you about 1, 2, 3 minutes to do that. Just pick a paper. So I want to encourage you in this exercise. You may not be sure whether you have a gift for doing that, right? So can you try and do that now? So we have about 10 companies that were listed here. They're just selected, right? So just what could be the names of this company? So please quickly do that. Quickly do that in the next couple of minutes. So as I was saying, we'll be limiting our scope of discussion today to effective business risk management, increasing necessity, all right? What was the status of risk management in companies before this time, before the current pandemic, and what is happening during the pandemic, and what is going to happen after the pandemic with respect to risk management? Okay, all right, so I want to believe we have done this exercise 1 to 10, all right? Okay, so let me see. Okay, so let's continue. These are the answers. So you can mark yourself. You can go ahead and mark yourself. The first one is GlaxoSmith, Guinness Nigeria, Total Graphic, Volkswagen, Toyota, Nigerian Brewery, Evans Medical, Volkswagen, Chief Pharmaceutical, and Lexus. So you can mark yourself. So if you have 10, you can tell us. So we send your gift across to you. Okay, so thank you for everybody that participated in the exercise. All right, so let's move on. All right, so I want to do a little bit of introduction. Okay, you are all aware that recently the outbreak of the widespread, coronavirus pandemic has continued to claim lives across the world as it ravages businesses and careers alike. I'm sure you are aware some careers have been lost, some jobs have been lost, some are on pay cuts, some are not even sure of when the next salary will come in. Okay, already more than 4.6 million people are infected with the virus, which has caused a total lockdown of major cities across the world. Okay, with the global average case mortality rate at about 5.5%, the impact of the pandemic is very pervasive. Okay, all right, so let's move on. Okay, the introduction continues. The fast-moving global reach of the coronavirus pandemic has demonstrated that for businesses, there must be a forward-looking approach to risk management. Okay, and it's more than important than ever. Okay, it's very more than important than ever. So what it means is, if your business or your company are not doing risk before now, so whether you like it or not, you need to approach effective risk management. Although no one could have predicted the nature, the timing, or severity of the pandemic, but corporate organizations must therefore pursue risk intelligence by including such scenarios in future discussions as strategy for business survival and performance. Yeah, obviously, as people will say, the world is not prepared for the pandemic, okay? But what it implies is, going forward, we need to include such risk scenarios, okay? We need to include it in business planning, in strategic planning, for scenario analysis. We need to include it, okay, as we move on. Okay, now, before we continue, let me do this because of people that are probably taking lectures on risk for the first time. What is risk? According to ISO 31000, risk is the effect of uncertainty on objectives. Now, let me quickly break that down. For most entities, their objective is to make profits, okay? That's the overall objective. You may have more than one objective actually, but then the overall objective for a business entity is to make profit. Now, when we talk about uncertainty, those are the things we are not sure of. Okay, all those uncertainty might come. For example, look at 2019 finance bill, all right, that came up. Look at the pandemic that we are experiencing now. Okay, those are the uncertainty. Government policies, taxations, regulatory requirements. Okay, they are uncertainty. We are not really sure. Look at interstate ban. Look at flight ban that we're experiencing. They will all have effect on the corporate objective, which is ultimately to make profit. Now, risk is now defined as the effect of those uncertainty. Now, if those uncertainty are favorable, obviously our objective will be achieved. If those uncertainty are unfavorable, obviously it's going to affect our objective. So the point here is this: when you hear the word risk, it is not always negative. It's also always, it might also come in terms of positivity, right? So that's why it's defined as the effect of uncertainty. They didn't define it as negative effect of uncertainty. Well, when you hear the word effect, it could be positive or negative. So let's move on. Risk is also a combination or a probability of an event occurring and the impact of its consequence, all right? So when you hear the word risk, it's a combination of two things: that an event will happen, for example, coronavirus pandemic. That's the probability, okay? Because we are unsure. That's why we call it uncertainty. Now, when the event occurs, what will be the impact? That is what we call the impact of its consequence. So the question is, when an event occurs, for example, there's a fire outbreak, for example, there's a new government policy that we need to comply with, when they happen, what will be the impact on our business? For example, if I drive my car and there's an accident, okay, what could be the impact? So the probability of an occurrence happening, then the likelihood. So that's how we define risk, or how risk has been defined. Then risk can be problematic or opportunity can be created from risk. For example, events may occur that will make it impossible for company to create value or seriously reduce their capacity to create value, thereby unable to achieve their strategic objective. Remember, we'll all agree that probably the main objective of the company is to make profit. Now, one singular event can occur and make it practically impossible for them to create profit. Okay, for example, look at the pandemic. Most companies are struggling from from making revenue, not to talk of making profit. Look at the airlines, look at the tourism, look at hospitality industry. Okay, those one singular event, not even multiple events. So that is the underlying difference between audit and risk. All right, and that's why entities need to embrace risk management, because what risk will do for you is to anticipate all these events ahead of time. Then you are able to, come up with mitigants for you to be able to, control the unfortunate event. So obviously, one single event can seriously reduce company's capacity to create value, right? Okay, now, realization of opportunities. The situation whereby an entity is strategically positioned, to capitalize on the state of the environment. This is called positive risk. That's the emphasis I was making the other time, okay? Risk is not always on the negative. That's what majority, most people, what they know. Now, look at the pandemic, for example. You can imagine if a pharmaceutical company in Nigeria was able to come up with a vaccine or a cure that can cure it effectively. You can imagine, that's a lot of money, okay? That's realization of opportunity. And even in this pandemic, look at the telecommunication companies. They are making a lot of money. Why? Because they were strategically positioned to take advantage of what is happening, okay? You can imagine the amount of money you have spent on data in the last 5 weeks or so, okay? Occasioned by the pandemic. So obviously, they were able to, to turn the situation around into a positive risk. Is that okay? So when you are strategically positioned to take advantage of the state of the environment, then you can say to say you are doing what we call a positive risk. Even for you to engage in the business venture you are doing, it's also a risk. It's a positive risk, okay? But those the combination of those risks can now be in terms of negative risk and positive risk. Okay, right? So I just want to use that to lay some foundation for people that might not really understand the meaning of risk. Now, any action or activity that will lead to undesirable outcome for the company is a risk. Okay, risk is a potential that a choosing action or activity, including choice of inaction. That's key. There are some companies that they slept. They were sleeping. They didn't take any action. No innovation. Look at Nokia, for example. Okay, 2 years ago, Nokia has more than 60% market share in the whole world, but they didn't do anything. Okay, Android came up and it just took over the market. We often describe risk as the possibility of suffering harm, loss, or danger. All right. So you have a work environment at your office, at your business environment. You need to be, you need to be sure that you create an enabling environment that will be free from danger or harm, to your workforce. All right. So that's what we always also mean by risk. Now, let me talk about risk perception. Okay, and that has been the reason why risk has not really been so much emphasized in the part of this world, okay, in this side of the world, right? Now, risk perception talks about the way you have viewed risk, okay? It's a subjective mind that people have about the severity and characteristics of risk. Okay, for example, you will agree with me that some people, if they want to drive, they don't wear shoes, even though they've been driving for the past 10 years. They will not wear shoes. Why? Risk. Okay? Some people cannot drive at night. That's a risk perception. Because they feel that at night they may not be able to see well. Some people, once it starts raining, they will park their cars. They can't drive again. That's a risk perception. Okay? So that's the way we view it. So sometimes what is risky to me Might not be risky to you. So if I ask some of my audience now, do you do Naira bets? Do you play bets? Do you do Baba Jebu and the likes? Some people might say, no, we don't do that. Why? If you ask them, they'll say, oh, I don't want to lose my money. I'm not ready to lose my 100 Naira. I'm not ready to lose my 1,000 Naira. So that's their risk perception. Meanwhile, some other people can sell their car, they can sell their houses, they can sell their landed property just because they want to play bet. That is risk perception. So to them, risk is probably their risk appetite is very high. Okay, so that's what we mean by risk perception. Now you can see the pictures there. Okay, somebody standing on a tree trying to cut a tree. Okay, for him, he might not see anything that is risky there. But for some other people, they will say, "Whoa, wow, this guy is about to kill himself." Okay, all right. Now, but the bottom line is that you cannot have a reward without taking a risk in business or in life. That's just the truth. There is no way. Now look at the athletes that you can see there. I think that's a long jump. This lady can stay back at home and say, no, I'm not going for this competition because there's a lot of risk there. The lady can lose the spinal cord, okay? There might be harm, there might be damage, anything can happen. But the other part is, if let's assume this is an Olympic Games, and the lady happens to win, what's it called, the gold medal, okay? So it's going to bring a lot of fame, a lot of money, and the like. So if you find a way to eliminate risk, you will end up without any reward at all, okay? You will end up without any reward at all. So that's the bottom line. That's what I want to establish from there, okay? Now, what was the assumption about risk before the COVID pandemic, okay? Now, what was the assumptions about risk before the COVID pandemic? Risk is just something for finance and insurance to worry about. That's what we believe. That's what most people believe, okay? Just finance, okay? Look at the risk. Insurance companies, they should worry about it. After all, I've insured my car. After all, I've insured my office building, my equipment, okay? They should worry about it, okay? Now, what we don't understand is even trying to insure your property, you're also one way or the other trying to manage your risk, okay? But the aim of this program is to, let us see the increasing necessity to consciously manage our business risk. Risk comes up as an agenda once in a year. That's what some people believe, just once in a year, okay? What is the risk that we face? Okay, they just, discuss it maybe at the board meeting or management meeting. They don't even bother about whether somebody is specialized or not, okay? So that's what was happening in most companies, not all companies anyway. Some companies actually took risk as a matter of priority, but, for a larger percentage of companies, this risk as something that comes up as an agenda once in a year. Risk management is just another level of unnecessary bureaucracy, okay? Because when we enter most of our companies that we work with today, there's nothing like risk, okay? So trying to inject risk management system, a lot of people see it as another layer of unnecessary bureaucracy. Why will I have to subject my decisions to risk analysis? That's the question. Why? I just need to go there. I've already seen the market is there. I've already seen the potential about the market. So let me just go there and invest, right? So why will I subject it to risk analysis? It's another unnecessary level of bureaucracy. That's what, a lot of people see risk to be. No, and it's not supposed to be. Risk management is about downside and not creation of value. That's the perception that people have about it. Because most times, risk will say, don't do this, don't do that. You cannot invest in that project. You cannot do that because of this and because of that. Even if you must go there, then you must do this, okay? So a lot of people see it as, downside. They are not seeing the creation of value, but forgetting the fact that you venturing into that business already, you have already taken a risk, okay? Then people also see it as a compliance issue. Probably regulators now are now asking or demanding for, risk management report, okay? How the businesses, the risk that businesses are facing, and how you are able to, what steps are you taking or actions are you taking to manage those risks. So that's what people see. So maybe at the end of the year, they just, put one or two things together because they see it as a compliance issue. So that was the state of risk for most companies, for most people, just before the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. All right, so let's look at some real-life examples to find out the impact of COVID on key areas of business. You know, obviously, I cannot really touch every key aspect of businesses, but I have a sample here that can guide you guys. Okay, so let's find out. Now, we have a lot of risk, okay, that is facing businesses. But like I said, I just selected some key risks, okay. For example, we have strategic risk, okay. Now, let me start by saying this. What do we mean by strategy? Okay? Strategy is key to business. For example, you want to start a business. Now you are thinking, what kind of business should I do? For example, you say, okay, I want to be selling wares. That's a strategy because you have chosen wares to sell. Now, within the wares, do you want to sell you want to start selling for adults or for babies? Okay, if you select for babies, you select for adults or for middle-aged people as a strategy. So for every business, you have a strategy. How do I sell? Should I start from online? Should I have a boutique? Should I be going to Oshodi Market in Lagos and start selling? How do I go about it? Anyone that you have chosen is called strategy. Now, but the point is this. That strategy has a risk element, okay? That's what we call strategic risk. So according to experts, they say strategic risk is the risk that the entity's strategy will become less effective over time. I can assure you that the COVID pandemic has made so many business strategies to be less effective. Okay, now, before the COVID pandemic, there are a lot of events that have even occurred. For example, like the Nokia case I mentioned the other time. Look at Nokia. Their business strategy was their phone battery, the battery life, and probably the durability of the phone. Okay, but over time, because Android came and you can do a lot of things with Android, and that strategy became less effective. What that means is businesses need to continue to innovate. That's it. Because the care is not taken, the strategy will become less effective. And if you cannot manage it well, you are simply out of business. Remember, we established earlier that one singular event can take a business off. Okay? Now, let me just pick one example again. Look at trade secrets. Every business has its or her own trade secrets, especially for manufacturing companies, right? Now, let me just give a case of, look at Coca-Cola, for example. But I should ask you, which drink have you come across in recent times that actually tastes like Coca-Cola? A lot of people try to copy them, but probably because they were not able to navigate through the trade secret. They can't really get through, okay? Coca-Cola did a very good job by protecting their trade secrets. So you need to start asking yourself, what is the trade secret for my business as a corporate entity? What do I need to protect? Intellectual property, manuals, formulations, policies that are documented. Are they adequately protected? Because if care is not taken, it is leaked out to a third party, then that's all. They are able to copy your product, they are able to copy your services just the way you have been doing it. Okay, so that's going to be a lot of problems, just like the case of Nokia that we mentioned. Okay, now, so let me now go to what has happened. COVID-19. Now, look at your strategy. What is your sales strategy? Are you selling? Are you selling door to door? Can you do that again because of policy of social distancing? Not going to crowded places? Do you hire logistic companies to sell for you? Do you have sales team that sells? So it's having, the pandemic is now having a kind of impact on sales. What about your logistics? What is the strategy? Okay, what is the strategy of your logistics? Do you need to navigate to Instagram, to Facebook, online, okay, that you have not been doing before the pandemic? Execution of service and such capacity strategy. Okay, everything is affected now. Look at supply chain strategy. Most companies in Nigeria depended on China, India, okay, for key raw materials. But because of shutdown, lockdowns, and the like, you can't really get those material from those countries anymore. They're not even producing because everybody is on lockdown, okay? So do we need to start looking inwards? What can we do? If your supply chain strategy has been affected, badly impacted, what it means is you may not be able to continue in production. And you cannot continue in production, that means you cannot sell, and you cannot generate revenue, not a lot of profit. What about information system strategy? Okay, what is your what IT capacity do you have before the pandemic and now that's now been badly affected? Okay, your key information, where are they on the IT system? Okay, what is your strategy? Recruitment strategy. I'm sure most companies they invite people to their office premises for recruitment. Probably advertise on newspaper and the likes. Okay, maybe on online, and people apply, they have to come. Then, but you may not be able to go with this. Again, probably you need to introduce Zoom application to start conducting interviews, Skype meetings, and the likes. Okay, so those are the impacts. Okay, production strategy. Most production are probably manually done. Do you need to automate them? Okay, these are the key areas that COVID. Some of the key areas that COVID has badly, impacted. And we need to start thinking. We need to start, and for entities that are probably doing risk management before now, would have probably foreseen this ahead of time and have a plan, although they may not be able to, maybe envisage a pandemic risk of this nature. Okay, so if you see on your slide, you can see some key considerations. Okay, you may try to establish a cross-functional steering committee led by an executive director, ensure senior representation from business divisions, specialist leadership such as the HR, legal, IT operations, risk, communications, finance, health and safety, procurement, and crisis and business continuity. So we need to engage all of them. Okay. Then you may also need to determine reasonable worst case scenarios. That's what we are saying. That's what we are trying to preach. All right. We may need to, do what we call worst case scenario. Okay. To inform, in planning assumptions, consider likely trigger points for decision making, such as you have to look at the pandemic, stress test assumptions, and exercise plans. Okay, they are very key. So you need to, it's affecting, in fact, every business, their strategy is affected. Even the gainers, the top gainers in COVID, for example, the telecoms and the likes, the pharmaceutical companies, their strategy is also changing. It's affecting every business. If, for example, maybe for the telecoms now, they might need to increase their bandwidth because of more demand on data, network services and the like. Look at Zoom now, for example. Zoom just came to the spotlight all of a sudden. Okay, so those are strategies are changing. So we need to look at that. Okay, now let's go to another point: operational risk. Whether we like it or not, this must happen to every company. Okay, what do we mean by operational risk? It's defined as capital charge for the risk of loss arising from inadequate or failed internal processes, okay, people, systems, and external events. Okay, now when you talk about operations, it's basically your day-to-day activity, what you do. Okay, when you come to office in the morning, you enter through the gates. Okay, you go into your office, you put on the system. All right, now because of lockdowns, because of maybe rotation of jobs, because you need to comply with social distancing. So most likely, operational risk is increasing. Okay, this one at the end of the process, they need to authorize a form or a process. They are not there. They are not on seat. You need to keep calling. A lot of things are changing. Okay, operational risk is an unexpected failure in your company's day-to-day operations. It could be a technical failure such as server outage. It could be caused by people, system, or process. Okay, that's what operational risk you do. And if your operations are not effective, forget it. You cannot reach to your customers. Okay, you can imagine. Let me give you an example of Jumia and Konga. Okay, if you buy on Jumia, it takes maybe 2 or 3 days for them to deliver. Meanwhile, if you buy on Konga, it takes a shorter date. So you might tend to patronize Konga better, probably because of their fast delivery. After considering other factors, anyway. Okay, now the reason why Jumia or Konga may not be able to meet your demand on time might be because of operational issues, which includes logistics issues, raising invoices, authorizations, approval, verifications, and the likes. Okay, so, and this is increasing. These are the things that risk managers will help you to identify and possibly come up with a solution to that. Okay, right? So now, look at this. In some cases, operational risk has more than one cause. For example, you consider a risk that one of your employees writes a wrong amount on a check, paying out 100,000 instead of 10,000 from your account. That is a people failure, okay? But also a process failure. Why? It could have been prevented by having a more secure payment process. For example, having a second member of staff to authorize every major payment, or using an electronic system that will flag unusual amount for review, okay? So maybe when you have this slide, you can read more on that to give you a guide. But obviously, operational key event is increasing because of the impact of COVID pandemic. Okay, but these are the considerations you may need to look out for. But let me look at the some other examples of operational risk. You can see there, you see disruption of workflows because everybody are not at work at the same time any longer. Okay, and unfortunately, most companies in Nigeria are not even prepared for remote working. Okay, even if you are prepared for remote working, what about security challenges, what about network? Okay, how do you navigate through that? All right, so. Okay, so now a key employee leaving, you can imagine during this pandemic, you lose one of your key employees probably to another job, or or for any whatever. Okay, the system is troubled. So do you have a business continuity plan in place? Network failures, fraudulent schemes. These are the time that employee will capitalize on the pandemic to perpetrate fraud, even management fraud. Okay, these are the times, because the controls that are physically present when you're at workplace may not be present when you're working remotely. Okay, but for risk, if you have a risk management system in place, most likely all these areas would have been identified. Okay, server outage. So that is what the COVID pandemic is presenting to us. Now, let me pick another one: compliance risk. Okay, now when you say compliance risk, obviously no company is existing in isolation. Okay, there is the rules that govern every industry. For example, banks and financial houses, you have the CBN that is there, you have the FRS, they are there. Okay, so every industry has one or two regulators. Now, this is not the time to slip away just because there is a pandemic. Okay, compliance risk is exposure to legal penalties, financial forfeiture, material loss, an organization faces when it fails to act in accordance with industry laws and regulations, internal policies, or prescribed best practices. Okay, now, in extreme case, a compliance risk can also affect your business future, okay, becoming a strategic risk too. We are not really doing training on risk, okay, so I won't go much deeper in that. But the key issue here is this: we need to be aware that laws can also change. For example, look at LIRS now, look at FRS now. They are trying to relax some regulations within the confines of the law. For example, they are saying VAT, withholding tax can now be remitted at the end of the month, okay? So we need to be aware, so things can keep changing. But the bottom line is, we cannot, because of this pandemic, okay? We cannot, because of this pandemic, and now go and relax. Okay, it might cause a damage, severe damage after the pandemic. Around the world, government and regulators have recognized the need to onboarding businesses affected by the COVID pandemic, relaxing certain rules and expectation in recognition of unprecedented challenges businesses and their workforce now face. Okay, now, this should not be taken as free rein to ignore the law or engage in unethical conduct, even at the management or at the board level. Okay, we should not take it as a freedom. Okay, otherwise you risk adding to the current crisis by creating one of your own making. That's the point. Okay, once businesses returns to normal, we expect organizations to be held liable for their regulatory and compliance failures. Okay, so we need to be aware. These are the key considerations we need to know. Okay, we might try to, capitalize on the freedom or let me say, to work around the opportunities that's been provided by the regulators. Try to work around those opportunities, especially because we have liquidity issues, may not be able to do some certain remittances on time, but that does not give us the leverage to start manipulating the account or not doing remittances as expected. Okay, so we need to be wary of that, and those are compliance issues. Now, let me talk about reputation as well. Like I said, I just selected some key areas. So many of them, okay, for the purpose of this webinar. All right, so let me talk about reputation. Now, you agree with me that every business has reputation. If I ask you now, maybe I put up two companies to you. Which one do you like most? You which obviously pick one. Okay, okay. So why will you have to select one? Probably because of their reputation. Okay, a reputation, it might take you time to build your business, but once your reputation is damaged, okay, it can come down just like that. So you need to be aware. For example, there are many different kind of businesses, but they all have one thing in common, no matter which industry you are, your reputation. Okay? Now, reputation is often called reputation risk, the risk of loss resulting from damages to firms' reputation in lost revenue. Obviously, people will not want to do business with you again if your reputation is damaged. Okay, they know you that you don't, honor orders on time. Even if you honor orders, most of your orders are fake. Okay, most of your services are not top notch. Nobody will patronize you. All right, so you need to be aware, and before you know it, you start seeing the effect in lost revenue. Okay, so that's why we need to also, be wary of keeping our reputation during this pandemic. Okay, now, if your reputation is damaged, okay, you will see an immediate loss in revenue as customer becomes wary of doing business with you. Okay, now, but there are other effects too. Even your employees, they may get demoralized, right? Even decide to leave. You may find it hard to hire good replacement of potential candidates. I've heard about your bad reputation. Don't pay salaries, cash flows. It's different when the company is cash strapped and everybody can see. Even when you have the cash, you're not paying. Okay, you delay payment. So most, even if people come into your company, they try to go on Google, try to go on Naira to even find out about the company. Suppliers may start to offer you less favorable terms because they know that they're giving you credit of 30 days, you will not pay until the end of 90 days. So it's affecting your reputation. And in this COVID pandemic, reputation is now becoming a key issue that corporate entities must consider, because anything you do at this time will obviously impact on your relationship with your customer, with your clients, with your employees after the pandemic. Okay, because for example, now during the pandemic, you don't really take your employees, safety, their health, you don't take it serious. They won't work for you. They won't want to work for you. Some of them might just remain on the job probably because they've not had any alternative, right? And it will be eating into your reputation. Okay, so that's a reputation risk that businesses will need to consider. And that's why risk management is becoming the order of the day. Okay, even as individuals, you might decide to, you might decide to want to take a career in risk. Okay, now, reputation can take a form of major lawsuit. You can imagine. I was reading the news over the week. I saw a 10 million naira fine on Hurricane. Why? Because of a delayed flight. That's it. It's as simple as that. Because of a delay flight, a major loss. You can imagine a company paying 10 million naira every month or every quarter just because of loss, business liability. That's the problem. The serious problem. No company can survive that. Okay? An embarrassing product recall. You are producing products, and all of a sudden there were defects in that product. You have to recall them. Even if I have those products in my house, I will go and burn them immediately. Why? Because I'm afraid I don't want to eat poison. So why don't you tighten your production processes, identify those issues, make sure your products are fully certified before they go into that market. And now the whole world is now exposed to food security. So people are minding what they are eating because of the pandemic. Because I'm not even sure whether the person that one of your production staff has even been impacted by the pandemic, that is already infected with the virus and is now producing product for me to eat. Okay, so you now need to to record those products. You see the news flying in the dailies. Who will want to come and buy from you again? No, even the current contract you have, if it's not taking, a lot of people will just stop their contract. Okay, now negative publicity about you or your staff. Okay, some of your staff just, you can imagine what is going on with the immigration, that they involve in pop daddy. Okay, that news is flying around. Okay, and it's having a negative publicity on them. So why don't you look in house? Maybe do something like social media policy for your business, for your employees. Okay, don't do this. These are the things you need to do so that you can control. You can manage your image in front of the public. Okay, and these days, it doesn't even take a major event to cause reputational damage. It could be a slow death by 1,000 negative tweets on an online product review. That's it. Somebody just gave a tweet, then the next person retweet, and before you know it, it's all over the world. Okay, about you, about your product, about your company. So that's why there's an increasing necessity for effective business risk management occasioned by the COVID pandemic. Okay, now let me give you some case studies. Let me just pick one of these. Okay, look at information technology. Okay, let me just pick one because of time. Let me pick customer service. Okay, a customer's wheelchair is damaged in luggage handling by an airline. Okay, the airline has an inappropriate response that is recorded by the customer. Then the customer manages to get the public interested in the story, and the airline suffers a loss of reputation. Sales on some of its products, declined. Okay, sales on some of its most competitive routes decline, and the airline is faced to further discount its price. That's the problem. Okay, that's the problem because they were not able to handle it properly, and before you know it, everybody was talking about it. So let's continue. These are the other key issues, all right, that I've selected. Okay, these are the other key issues. You agree with me that the most important item in the financial statement is the revenue. Every company, whether you like it or not, revenue is what you are living on. If you don't have enough revenue, forget your cost of sales, forget your administrative expenses, forget your finance costs, you cannot even make profit. Okay? Now, the COVID now has had serious impact on most industries, all right? Now, look at the rating. I put I there. It may not apply to all sectors. For example, the telecoms, the pharmaceutical companies, okay, because now a lot of people are demanding for more drug products, okay. A lot of people are buying data, they need to expand their remote working, okay. So for pharmaceutical businesses, I'm sure their revenue will be green. Here is red, that's why it's high, the impact is high, okay. But for them, it will be going up, okay. So it's going to be green there. But for most industries, their revenue is badly affected. For example, there is factory shutdown. Country lockdowns have impacted on supply of raw material. Like I said, we depend on China, India for your products. You can no longer get them. Okay, that's the problem. How do you produce? Production capacity not fully utilized as a result of business disruption caused by the pandemic. Okay, so it's a serious problem, and it's having technical issues, on revenue. And if care is not taken, that's why I said this can also induce fraud. Okay, management will now trying to engage in fraud probably to improve on revenue, and that's a kind of signal to external auditors and even internal auditors. So I have some recommended actions here, how you can navigate through that. For example, greater focus on key raw materials for production of key product lines. Okay, you may not be able to, for example, your company is producing 20 products, you may not be able to do them again at this time. So you need to streamline. What are the key product lines I need to produce, probably witnessing high demand during the pandemic? Do I need to temporarily halt production of slow-moving products and keep an eye on stock levels? So these are the things you need to look out for, okay? Like I said, I cannot really capture all the points here, but this will give you a guide. Now, look at finance costs. Before the pandemic, you have borrowed money, okay? Your loan is running, bank overdraft is running, but unfortunately, you are not generating enough money to repay back the loan. You are not really making a lot of profit, okay? Inability to fulfill debt obligations as liquidity position has worsened due to poor cash flows position. Okay, what CBN has done is to reduce interest rates from 9% to 5%. But the question is it even applicable? Are they even implemented? We are not sure. But if you borrow from a private sector, okay, so that's the problem. So you need to keep paying. So how do you do that? Okay, so you have some recommended actions there. If you need more information, you can, you can contact us, like you said. Now, revise cash flows, working capital management, inventory forecast, alongside supply and demand predictions. You can try to renegotiate or restructure your loans or bank overdraft facilities where necessary, okay? Liabilities. Before the pandemic, you have a lot of liabilities. Short-term payables, long-term payables, okay? And it's badly impacted. Those people you are owing are also affected by the pandemic. So the problem is there will be pressure from creditors to settle trade payables on time. They also need money. You also need money. So that's the problem. And that's why risk management is now becoming, is now essential. Whether you like it or not, you have to embrace risk management practices, okay? The only thing you could do, maybe you try to perform age analysis of your trade payables, settle same based on projected cash flows, renegotiate or restructure loans, and overdraft as necessary. Okay, like I said, I just selected these areas. Let me see. I think I have one more on that. Let me see. Okay. There are so many areas. I have a comprehensive report on that. I just picked this. Liquid. Okay. Most entities have been affected because they cannot even generate revenue. So there is no liquid, no money. The worsening economic condition caused by the pandemic might reduce disposable income of individuals. Can you see now? Even people, people out there that patronize you, corporate bodies, what's it called? Corporate bodies, individuals that patronize your company, their disposable income has been affected. Some are out of their jobs, some are on pay cut. Okay. Now, the only thing everybody is pursuing now are key essentials. For example, food, shelter, maybe data for some of us. All right. Now, it has worsening our liquidity position. So this may affect the volume of business carried out with your company and thereby worsening your liquidity position. So it's high. Don't forget, this may not affect data company, a technology company, IT company. No, their liquidity, in fact, has been doubled. Okay, but for other industry, that's the focus here. But let me bring your mind to something. Even though those companies might not be affected, they must also manage risk, because the product or the app or whatever they have now might become less effective even after the pandemic. So will they continue to see the same trend after the pandemic? That's a question that they need to ask. Okay, now look at the recommended actions. Determine if your company has sufficient cash, unused credit lines, borrowing facility to meet short-term needs, determine regulatory and supply remittances that can be negotiated for extension, determine capital and operating expenditures that can be, deferred. Is that okay? So we need to also look at that. Now look at sales and marketing. This may be moderate. For example, you must travel from one state to another before you carry out your sales activity. You must go on door to door before you carry out your sales activity. But that one is not achievable again, because of interstate ban restrictions on movement. Avoiding physical contact. You need to do social distancing policy. Okay, so So there is an inability to effectively carry out sales activity due to lockdown. A lot of people have to go and open Instagram account, what's they call WhatsApp, and all of a sudden you now start asking for people to start following you. Okay, what was not done before the pandemic? Okay, so how do you navigate around this area? Decline in demand for certain products will lead to high inventory, resulting in slow-moving products and possibly inventory obsolescence. That's the problem, because you cannot sell. If it's not taking, all those products will be outdated. Okay, you can no longer sell them. Okay, so you have the controls there. You can look at that. Then you also have cyber security. Now there is not increase in the use of technology. Okay, there's a sudden surge. Okay, so the question is, your company's cyber, is it robust enough? Okay, there's an upward trend in attempted cyber attacks through COVID-19 themed malware and spam campaigns, leading to malware download and ransomware attack. A lot of companies are falling victim. Just a link in your mail, just click on it, and before you know it, they have attacked your cyber. Okay, they have attacked they had access to your files, and you don't have access to them. Some of which were successful and could lead to unavailability of critical data. You can imagine all your critical systems and data that you use for your business processes, you don't have access to them again. And before you know it, your customers are moving away to other competitors. Okay, so you need to look into this. For example, you alert and train your employees on potential cyber attacks, such as phishing, emails attempting to take advantage of the crisis. A lot of people have lost their money in this pandemic. Why? By clicking a link. That's it. By somebody just sending one link, just clicking, or a PDF, whatever, and all your money in your account just went away. Determine if cybersecurity settings are in place. Then you may need a specialist, maybe a cybersecurity specialist, to come and examine the IT environment of your company. Is becoming critical. No company is exempted. Okay, so we need to be aware of all of this. Okay, now let's continue because of time. What is now the benefits of risk management? Now, when you talk about benefits, okay, I can speak on this for the next 3 hours. But like I said, I will limit I will try to control myself. Okay, now, one, risk management will help you to see risks that are not apparent. Let me ask you, how many people see COVID that is coming? That's why risk has not been taken with all seriousness. Because when risk managers come on board and they say we need to prepare for this risk, unfortunately, there is no data, no historical data to support most of risk predictions. That's unfortunately. And because there was no data, most people tend not to embrace it. But if a risk person will say, oh, pandemic is coming, people will not take it seriously. But with effective risk management, you'll be able to see and you'll be able to plan. For example, pandemics. Okay, look at the time. There were bomb blasts. There was a bomb blast in Kenya recently. Okay, and if a risk manager said most likely that it's going to be a bomb blast at Kenya, a lot of people will say over 2,000 years ago it has never happened. It will never happen. That's not how risk managers think. Okay, we have to look at it. We look at it. We try to say risks that are not apparent. So if I want to tell you now, if you want to ask me to predict a risk that may likely happen after COVID-19, I can tell you that, okay, I think I'm going to show you some of them in my slide. I can tell you that there will be increasing demand for risk management, for companies to do risk management. Because you have to do it. There's nothing we can do. Number two, it will provide insight and support for the board of directors. Okay, it will also reduce business liability. Because you try your best. For example, the Arik case I gave the other time, it may not be within their purview why they have delayed in flight. Maybe it might be due to operational reasons, okay, technical issues, all right. But the question is, do we need to communicate effectively to our passengers, or do we just neglect them? That will not lead to them suing us. Okay, we need to start emphasizing, addressing all these areas so that we can avoid business liability. Okay, it will also create awareness on possible trade. That's what risk can do for you. Even the society will benefit because directly or indirectly, losses are reduced. Like I said, I don't want to go more on that because of time. Okay, I don't want to go more on that because of time. Okay, now limit the impact of disaster. That's another thing. For example, there's a standby arrangement to take over technology. Okay, let me ask you now. The business premises you are using, God forbid, let's assume a fire cuts the place. Can you continue business in the next 24 hours? Okay, what about your system, your information technology? If it is attacked, look at banks, for example. Okay, you have an account with Zenith Bank. Let's assume that Zenith Bank does not have adequate information technology, backup procedures, and the system is attacked. Even you that does not have account in that bank, you will go there and you say you owe me 5 million naira. Okay, that's it. So you need to take all these things serious. Greater confidence among investors, employees, customers, suppliers, and partners. They have confidence in you. Why? Because you are taking risk into consideration. It's also a better matching to risk appetite of shareholders. Okay, we are not really dealing with training today. I will explain more on risk appetite. Okay, if you have your shareholders, everybody have their risk appetite. Some shareholders can say, oh, let's expand our business. Let's go to Ghana. Let's go to the UK. Let's go to Cameroon. Okay. But shareholders say, no. I cannot invest there. I don't want to lose my money. So you have, different level of risk appetite. But with risk, because we have information of risk, we have done the analysis. We need to go. This is what we need to do. We are not going. This is what we need to. Okay. So that will be a better matching. In fact, business continuity is assured to a very large extent. Because we are doing risk management, right? We are doing risk management. Business continuity is assured. Okay. Let's continue. Okay. Now, before we conclude, post-COVID-19, we are not sure when the COVID pandemic will end. Some people are saying the next 2 months, some people are saying 3 months, some people are saying 2021, 2023, we're not sure, or maybe COVID has come to stay. But then, one thing we are sure is it will go. It will go away. It will go to the very barest minimum. All right. There might be changes in risk management field. So for companies or for risk managers that have been engaged in risk, you might need to consider this. And all of us, we need to skill up. Okay, let me take it from the board level. At the board level of every company, there will be greater board level interest in strategic risk. If you remember, I emphasize a lot on strategy because every business you are seeing is about strategy. Okay, every business is about strategy. So they will be more interested in what are the strategic risks that we are having. Because once the pandemic came, when it came, the first thing it affected was company strategy, aside from liquidity, revenue, and the likes. Okay. Now, greater focus on purpose and ethics. Why are we here? What is our ethical values? What is our purpose? Greater role and influence for risk professionals in strategic decision making. So I'm seeing going forward now, engaging risk managers in strategic decision making. I'm seeing it, right? They will be invited to board meetings, shareholders meetings. Okay, come and give us your presentation about this decision we're about to take. Okay, so I'm seeing greater role, and influence for risk professionals. Okay, I'm also seeing integration of business continuity planning into enterprise risk management. Even for companies that have established enterprise risk management, the business continuity aspect has not really been taken into consideration. But all of a sudden, you now see business continuity coming on board now. Okay, now there will be demand for risk management skills relating to mergers, acquisition, and corporate restructuring. I can say it with all boldness. Unilever want to acquire Zenith want to acquire GT. They will demand for risk report. Okay, what are the risks? Because now the COVID has really affected a lot of things. So we want to be sure. So there will be demand for risk management skills at the operational level. Okay, there will be greater focus on building operational resilience. Okay, operational resilience. All right. So companies will tend to want to be sure that in case of another pandemic, are we going to be able to continue in operations? Okay, there will be greater need for risk quantification and analysis skills. So for risk managers, we need to look at this area. Do you really know what risk quantification is all about? What about your analysis skills? You need to brace up, all right? Then there will be demand for skills in supply chain management. This is very key. Okay, now I mentioned it as part of the strategy. It's also a risk on its own, supply chain risk. So there will be greater demand for skills in this area. All right. For the regulators will be focusing also on operational resilience. Now you can imagine the tax authority. They're also losing money. They can't get money because a lot of companies cannot survive again. So they may want to be interested in operational resilience as well, just to ensure business continuity. I'm also seeing the regulators also focusing on stress testing and scenario analysis. Banks have been doing this. They have been doing this fantastically well. But for other industry, they might also need to engage in stress testing and scenario analysis. So these are the things, some of the things I think we need to, really consider. Okay, so let's do some conclusion. It is crystal clear that organizations must pursue risk intelligence by constantly considering risk scenarios such as pandemic events in the future, strategic decisions. Greater attention must also be given to emerging risk and black swan events. I'm not able to explain all of that, but time. Okay, now moving beyond risk will remain an inevitable strategy for entities that want to be resilient in the event of pandemic risk. It is therefore pertinent for business leaders to support risk function. Because this is another problem with some companies. They have risk management system, but the support is very low. Okay, and pursue risk intelligence in order to ensure corporate survival, business performance, and sustainable business growth. Although it may be too early to assess the ultimate consequences on businesses, as the situation is still evolving, but preparation and planning may be the difference between success and failure. Okay, all right. So let's look at the key takeaways for today. Now, risk presents both threats and opportunity. I was able to establish that risk is not always on the negative. So when you see risk, there's always a threat, there's always an opportunity. Okay, now risk abound everywhere. They cannot be eliminated, but they can be reduced. So whether we like it or not, there is risk everywhere. Even you listening to me now, there's a risk. Your network can go off anytime. Even my network here can go off. So the question is, do we have a backup plan? Okay. All right, so risk abound everywhere. You cannot eliminate it. Don't forget, if you are not taking a risk, then that means there is no reward. Okay, now let me continue. You see now, series. I said you don't want to come on. Okay, we must take risk to create value and manage risk to protect value. Okay, so that's another point. You have to take risk. If you are not taking risk, you cannot create value. And after creating that value, what is value? Obviously, your profit, your revenue, businesses, customer base. Okay, you are doing business with them. That's the value you are creating. And after you have created it, you must also manage risk to protect that value. Otherwise, one event like Ebola, like pandemic risk, COVID-19, can take all your investment away in seconds. Okay, so those are the things I want you to take note. And the last one, the key to managing risk is not to make risk zero. Don't forget, we are not saying risk should be zero, because once it is zero, that means there is no reward. But to control its impact towards achieving corporate objectives. So that's the idea. Okay, so let's look at this quote before we move on. Okay, this is a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. That's the former president of the United States. Unfortunately, I cannot really interact with you people. I wish you guys are in a conference for this training. It would have been sweeter than this, really, because of gesticulations and everything, right? Okay, but it's fine. This is the new normal that we need to adopt into. Okay. All right. So let's look at this quote. Okay. If you are there, you can read it together with me. Let's go. Risk is like fire. If controlled, it will help you. If uncontrolled, it will rise up and destroy you. Okay. So that's a quote. You might try to ruminate on that. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching the webinar. So let's try to entertain questions. So over to you, my facilitator.
Okay. Thank you so much for this fine presentation. Our able speaker, Mr. Ayomi Ladoku. We do hope all of our friends here connecting via Zoom all the way from Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Plateau, all over Nigeria. We do hope you enjoy this webinar so much. In fact, I especially thank the speaker for the fine way he presented the webinar. I love the way he was gesticulating. I love the way he was making gestures and all that. It shows that he really prepared for this seminar, and I hope you all enjoy it. Like as I said before, all of us, we all face risk one way or the other. So technically, we are risk managers. But after hearing this webinar today, all of us agree with me that we have learned how we can effectively manage business risk. So you can add that to your CV or resume that you can handle business risk. Yeah, thank you so much. You must have seen the poll or survey that we sent in, as the lecture was in progress. We thank you so much for the feedback that you've given to FCA, and FCA will no doubt use this feedback appropriately. We know you have questions on the subject that you want the speaker to discuss. Please feel free to bring your questions, send them through the chat, and we shall take these questions. Okay, let me take some of the questions here and direct them to the speaker. Okay, from here I can see a question. Thanks for this webinar. I want to solicit for the materials. I'm currently in the office, not fully focused. Okay, Mr. Julius Daniel, FCA is going to think about sending what we do to get the slides across to participants. We'll see what we can do about it. Same thing goes to Mr. Anthony. He said, I hope we can have access to this material. Yes, we'll see what we'll do about it. From Olga Godwin, thanks for this seminar. How do I get the materials? Try and see. Mr. Andy Michael, thanks for this wonderful webinar. I would appreciate if I get the material. So there have been calls for getting this webinar material. Now there's a question from Mr. Peter. How do health insurance companies now do their product presentation under COVID-19 because of physical distancing and restrictions to movement? I believe the speaker is taking note of these questions. Let me see if I can get another question to give to him so that he will take all at once. Okay, Mr. Ezekiel says, I want to appreciate the organizers of this webinar. It's very educating. God bless you. God bless you, Ezekiel. Mr. Michael Alatishe says, thank you so much for this wonderful seminar. Please, I need the material. It is from this is Odi Veronica, FCA. We'll see what we do about it. Madam Margaret Young, great webinar, FCA. Much appreciated. You are sure ahead of the pack. Thank you so much. So much appreciate the comment. Well done, sir. Kindly share material, more strength ahead. Okay, let me go down. See if I can see some questions. All I can see here are appreciation. This is bringing an insightful so much, sir. Okay, let me go much down. Okay, this one says, what about if management refused to adhere to the advice given on planning for the risk? What if management refused to adhere to the advice on planning for risk? That's another question. Uh, Another question here is, as a risk manager, what will be the new normal for schools, tuition centers? This is from Adebayo. That's okay. We also have another. Let's see. Madam Margaret Young says, from your post, you mentioned there are. Okay, no, these are not questions. Babalola Olajide said, if I decide to be a risk manager, how do I go about it? What steps are to be taken? So, another question, do you think it is right for companies to adjust their credit terms with their suppliers? For instance, bringing a credit term of 30 days or 50 days. I believe our resource speaker is taking note of these questions because it's going to take all of them at the time. Okay. So, as an auditor, what are the new risks you should watch out for in the manufacturing industry? So let me pause the questions for now and let the resource person answer this question. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. Let me try and answer some of those questions. Because of time, we need to leave now. Okay. From the last questions, what are the new risks that auditor will face? If you're referring to the internal auditor, obviously, the new risk you may need to face now is fraud risk. I mentioned it earlier. Okay, because of the new normal, some of the controls that are physically present at work may now be present, maybe from home, or sometimes you need to verify that some goods have been delivered into your company. Before now, you have to do this kind of verification, but now you may not be able to do that. Okay, so that might be avenue, an opportunity for employees to perpetrate fraud. So you need to now come up with control system that will address all these issues. Okay. Now I also had a question that somebody was saying, what would be the new normal for schools and tuition houses? Obviously, I want to believe that's the lecturer that's asking that question. Probably you're involved in ICANN questions and the likes. Obviously, the new normal is two things. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at the fact that there might be limits to the number of people that we want to go for physical lectures, especially if ICANN or ACCA was able to introduce remote exams, okay, whereby a student can be remotely invigilated. If that is possible, okay, that means there will also be remote lecturing. That's the meaning. And as you can see now, for example, FCA has moved in that direction. On Monday, May 2018, May 18, 2020, we're going to start online video class, just like this webinar. Okay, it's going to be online, all right, and that people can sit at the comfort of their homes and get the lectures. Okay, it's going to be live and direct. So that is the new normal, and we need to, really adapt into it. What about social distancing policy? What if it's going to exist for the next 2 or 3 years? Okay, so does it mean I will not be tuition houses again? So we need to, rethink and navigate through this pandemic. Okay, I think another question was also asking if I want to be a risk manager, what can I do? Obviously, you can reach me. Okay, you can reach FCA. They will direct it to me so I can, put it through. But the first thing is you have taken is this training is fine. Make sure you understand what risk is all about. If you're an auditor, it will help you. But if you are not an auditor, of course, if you have interest, it's a very good field that you can venture into. And there's another question I was asking about, how can health insurance, market their product, right? Health insurance, right? How can they really market their product? Obviously, there's a problem here. And the problem is not all Nigerians are using an enabled internet phone, okay? we have about 95 million that are active internet users, and the other are not at all. So the question is, how do I focus, or how do I manage the people using internet, that are actively using internet, and the other people that are not, really doing that? So your strategy first will have to be focusing on the active internet users. Can you create something like a platform like Microsoft Teams, whereby you can, put all your customers, do virtual meetings with them, online meetings, try to encourage them? Can you subsidize their data, data spend? You have to look at how you can really, go about that. But for the for the non-active internet user, it's going to be a little bit pretty difficult. Okay, you still need to try to navigate around that area. What are the programs that can be provided? Maybe public speaking that will still ensure you maintain the social distancing, the hygiene level, that is expected. Okay, so that one my suffice. Okay, so thank you very much for your questions. We may not be able to take other questions because of time, but I can assure you are going to get the emails, the slides, and the videos in your email. So FCA will pay for that. Okay, even though the lecture itself was about 50K if you want to do it on a normal day, but we are going to give it for free. Okay, but don't forget, on Monday, by God's grace, we are starting online class. I'm going to be lecturing financial reporting, corporate reporting, and case study. You have been struggling with FR, corporate reporting, come and see how to understand accounting standard. It's going to be live and direct, just like this webinar. So key into that, if you have people writing an account or instituting around you, please communicate to them, okay? Please communicate to them. Thank you very much for your time. I hand over to the facilitator. Thank you very much.
You agree with me that this webinar has been a great success today. To thank everyone who have participated in this webinar. To thank you for all your comments. To thank you for all your kudos. Thank you for all your questions. Sorry, because of time, we won't take more questions, but I can assure you that we collate all your questions, and when we address them, we can send them back to your email. Like the speaker said, we'll be having online classes on Monday, which is May 18th, and then be from 7 o'clock in the evening. There is a registration link that is being posted on this chat forum where you can click and register for these classes if you are interested. So please, if you know anyone who is planning to write the ICANN exam, or friends or family members that's going to be a potential beneficiary, please do not let this opportunity slip away from his hands. Friends, it has been a wonderful day in this webinar. That is the first seminar or webinar, and there will be more webinars to come, and you shall be duly invited. So as we declare this webinar closed, I urge everyone today to please stay safe and be good. Bye.